fear for the law, but of fear of God. And you, why do you cover up rape acts when it happens? Remember, a problem shared is a problem half solved. Never cover any rape act because a rapist is a murderer. It could be you or your loved ones next. Women must be treated like the prize giant they are. Say no to rape.
In your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere, we provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk, app for iOS or Android, Intelsat 901 degree east. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
24, where sports thrive. Hello. What is currently in the air is the second wave of COVID-19 in Nigeria, and that's our focus tonight on this edition of Weekend File on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. It's indeed obvious that Nigeria has entered a second wave of coronavirus infections. The number of COVID-19 cases detected in the country in the past 2 weeks indicates that a second wave of the outbreak has begun, and that's according to the chairman of Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. From every indication, the country may be at risk of losing not only the gains of the last 9 months, but its citizens as well to COVID-19. Now, the spike of COVID-19 in many states of the Federation is indeed a source of worry, and some states are already taking precautionary measures to curb the situation. Tonight, we'll be taking a closer look at the present COVID-19 situation in Nigeria and efforts being made by relevant authorities to checkmate the new trend. And our guest tonight is the Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Ehanire. My name is Kurian Umayo. Good to see you again on this show. And now we'll bring you the news, and that's next. All the 344 rescued students of Government Science Secondary School, Kankara, has been certified medically fit, and they have been reunited with their families. Here is an update from Shehu Adamu.
Upon arrival to Katsina, the rescued students were handed over to Governor Aminu Bello Masari and later taken to State Hajj camp, where they ate, freshened up and undergone medical examination. At the time of NTA's visit to the camp, at the early hours Saturday, only 5 rescued students were seen waiting to be taken home by their parents. They were later taken home.
I am very happy to reunite with my parents.
Secretary to Katsina State Government, Dr. Mustafa Muhammad Inwa, said all the rescued students were found medically fit and handed over to their parents.
Most of the complaints they had were mostly with their legs and so on. And they were treated, no serious elements, only one person I understand had to be assisted to, yes, but almost all, they are young. honestly, there is no record of any serious element among them.
Dr. Mustapha Mohammed Inwa explained that while at Hajj camp, the state government ensured that the rescued students lacked nothing. He said all the 344 rescued students were handed over to their parents in the presence of the principal of the school and officials of the State Science and Technical School Board. It will be recalled that the 334 students of Government Science Secondary School Kankara were abducted last week, which took the combined efforts of all security agencies in rescuing them on heart. In Katsina, Shehu Adamu, NTA.
The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to the security and safety of all Nigerians, as well as ensuring the socio-economic well-being. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said this while discussing the release of Kankara School Boys on a special weekend edition of NTA's Good Morning Nigeria. Olusheye Adabo has that report.
As opposed to Chibok, where it took about 3 weeks before anything was done. In Dapchi, in Kankara, within hours, the federal government moved in. Yes, he employed both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches, but the important thing that is the result.
Lahi Mohammed explaining the promptness of the present administration to rescue operations and how it engendered a paradigm shift compared with approaches by previous administrations. The information minister said matters of national security should bring about synergy and not divisive tendencies.
In the case of Dapchi, we had all kinds of bizarre theories. But you have to be in government to know how many sleepless nights the president, the heads of securities, the ministers spent until this matter was resolved.
The Nigerian Army on its part said securing the release of the 344 Kankara schoolboys was 100% rescue mission.
The rules of engagement for the field commander is very clear. There should be no casualty and the boys must be rescued. So, minimum force here will only be limited by anything that will result in casualty.
For the Northeast, we get maximum cooperation from the state executives. That I must tell you, I must assure you. But beyond that, you need the people to take responsibility and take ownership of the security of their location. After being educated, and look, this thing is not good for you.
Nigerians reacting via tweets on the Twitter handle at NTA German commended the efforts of the government in getting the adopted students released without collateral damage and advocated thorough investigations to avert a recurrence. In Abuja, Olusheye Adabo, NTA News.
The All Progressives Congress said it has received with joy and a glad heart the release and return of the students who were abducted by terrorists from the government science secondary school Kankara in Katsina State. In a statement signed by the caretaker and Extraordinary National Convention Planning Committee Chairman Mai Malabuni, the party noted that the news was not just elating, but it was gladdening and relieving. The party also apologized to the pupils and vow that President Buhari and the party will do all it takes to ensure that they continue to study in a safe environment. In the same vein, the Association of Nigerian Professionals in Europe have applauded President Buhari and the country's security agencies for the release of the Kankara school boys in Katsina State. The group made this known in a communique signed by its president, Dr. Agu Onyeke, alongside 13 country heads issued at the end of an online consultative meeting on Friday. According to the AMPE, the safe return of the schoolboys again highlights President Buhari's political will towards addressing the security challenges in the country. The announcement of the reopening of borders, including Seme in the southwestern Nigeria, has brought a great excitement to the residents of the border community and traders whose livelihood was halted since August 2019 when it was officially shut by the federal government. Uzesi Akure reports that although trading and travel activities are yet to fully resume, occupants are already hopeful of a better year ahead.
Seme is a land bordered between Nigeria and Benin Republic and a commercial hub, especially for African nationals. Even as traders await the full reopening of the border, people now move freely to and fro the two countries. The excitement that legal businesses will soon be in full swing is palpable, especially now that Christmas is very close.
We are very, very excited because to witness this very day like this, in fact, it's a big time for us.
I thank God that they have opened the border, because when we are coming to Nigeria, it's not easy like that. We spend a lot of money. So we thank God now they have opened the border. So everything will be, everything will be easier now.
Mr. Olushola Peter is a clergyman from Benin Republic. He is full of appreciation to the federal government for reopening the land border.
We thank God for everything because the border is closing for some time. But now everything is going on very well. Nigeria, police, custom and other people, they are taking care of people. When you come, they attend to you well. We are very happy for that.
The federal government had in August 2019 ordered the closure of Nigerian borders to curb smuggling of arms and ammunition, prevent importation of some goods and agricultural produce, especially rice, to boost local food production in support of Nigerian farmers.
We are very glad for this reopen of this border.
We just pray that there should this type of thing will not happen again. Because many people love their job.
As all await the border to fully open its gates, it must be remembered that the federal government also announced that the ban on importation of rice, poultry and other products is still in force. In Lagos, Uzezi Arure, NTA News.
Nigeria is ready for investments and will be at the forefront of the January 1st, 2021 single African market. So as the world turns attention to Africa for investment opportunities, Invest in Africa World Summit is fostering the aspiration by bringing together industry decision makers to share ideas on how best to ensure a seamless transition. ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson reports.
Access to technologies and digital services is necessary for Africa's development. The continent has already demonstrated that it can develop breakthrough solutions in that area, thanks to its talents and tech clusters, which have given birth to technologies, projects and applications that have become references today. Nigeria undoubtedly is making its relevance and ready-to-do business status known across borders, especially with the trajectory of the federal government's digital economy drive. Angelo Elosia is the chairman of Invest in Africa World Summit and Expo 2020. For him, Nigeria has the innovative skills and geographical advantage to be on the spotlight.
Invest in Africa World Summit, we are pushing to make sure that the nation Nigeria understand the principles of the African market in order to be part of it. And then, of course, we are Africa, this is giant of Africa. So we have to both the private sector and the public sector, government, will be able to harness the various opportunities, especially investment opportunities, in order to move Nigeria forward. In short, move Africa forward.
He hopes that coronavirus pandemic will not disrupt the market, which is expected to sell Nigeria and Africa at large to the world. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Ale Pantami, has directed the Director General of the NIMC to investigate allegations involving some applicants who, in the process of getting their digital identity number, maintained that they are being asked to pay for the service with a view to bringing the perpetrators, if any, to book. A statement by the Technical Assistant Information Technology to the Minister, Femi Adeluyi, indicates that the federal government is bearing the cost of the registration process such, the digital identity number is completely free for all Nigerians and legal residents with resident permit from the Nigerian Immigration Service. The statement further stresses that the fact that the digital identity number is the right of every citizen based on the National Identity Management Commission NIMC Act 2007. The DG has also been directed to provide a platform for such allegations to be reported. The National Business and Technical Education Board, NABTEB, says 36,202 candidates out of the 58,340 of them who sat for the NTC examinations scored 5 credits and above, including English and mathematics, representing 62.99% of the candidates. The Registrar and Chief Executive of NABTEB, Professor Ifeoma Abanihe, disclosed this while briefing newsmen on the outcome of the examination at the board's national headquarters in Benin City. Eugenia NDBC reports.
Out of the 58,340 candidates that registered for the examination in 1,530 centers, 48,597 candidates obtained 5 credits and above with or without English, language and mathematics, representing 84.55% of the candidates that sat for the examination. Out of the number that registered, a total of 57,474 candidates sat for the certificate examinations, which represents 98.52% of the total enrollment. The analysis further shows that out of the 30,328 candidates that sat for the examinations in various trades, 17,036, representing 56.17%, were certified as craftsmen, which is about the same in 2019 May-June NBC NTC.
The board is committed to ensuring that examination malpractice is drastically reduced in higher examination activities, and therefore places high premium in quality assurance activities to checkmate incidences of examination malpractice.
Executive of NABTEB, Professor Ifeoma Abanihe, noted that the most viable pathway to address youth unemployment is through comprehensive technical and vocational education and training, TVET. According to NABTEB, registration of candidates for the 2020 rescheduled NBC, NTC and AMBC, ANTC examinations for private candidates have commenced. In Benin, Eugenia NDBC, NTA News.
Traffic was temporarily halted on Otedola Bridge in Bega, Lagos this Saturday when another tanker loaded with 44,000 litres of diesel caught fire. Our Yusuf Jibo reports that though vehicular movement was eased, the extent of property damage is yet to be ascertained.
The tanker, which was fully loaded with 44,000 litres of diesel, was moving towards Bega along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway when one of its tyres was reported to have caught fire on Otedola Bridge outward Lagos. Acting Coordinator, National Emergency Management Agency NEMA, Lagos Territorial Office, put the situation in the right perspective.
The attention of the tipper driver to the tyre. I believe in the process of drawing his attention, he got confused. Instead of him to stop, he decided to go back, reversing back. So it was due to this that he went back uncontrollable. The vehicle behind him with a family of 6 got confused, and in the process it was trying to dodge, and he hit the family too. So the 2 vehicles with the tanker caught fire in the process.
Emergency responders are on site containing the spread of the fire and have confirmed that no life was lost and no injuries sustained. In Lagos, Yusuf Jibo.
The Federal Road Safety Corps says it will engage in aggressive training of petroleum tanker drivers and ensure enforcement of traffic regulations to avert carnage on Nigerian roads. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachikum reports that Corps Marshal, Federal Road Safety Corps, Boboyo Oyeyemi, made this known in Kaduna during interaction with the leadership of petroleum tanker drivers and National Union of Petroleum Energy and Natural Gas.
Road crashes, especially involving tanker drivers, have been posing serious concern to the authorities. Records indicate that only last year, over 300 crashes involving petroleum products tankers occurred, resulting in loss of lives and property in addition to environmental damage. The Corps Marshal's engagement with members of the National Union of Petroleum Energy and Natural Gas, as well as petroleum tanker drivers, dwelt on modalities to curb incidences of road crashes. The campaign for next year, the Corps Marshal says, will be more engaging, rigorous, and result-oriented to minimize possible occurrences on the road.
With the way things are going, we are going to do modular training programs in different parts of the country. It's not going to be centralized. We need to train the drivers. When we did the training last year, 30% had vision problem. We are going to lay emphasis on medical check.
A tanker driver that woke up in the morning and behind the wheel, he would like to come back and meet his family. Nobody wants to die.
The take from this engagement is expected to minimize crashes and ensure safety on the roads. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachkun, NTA News.
Yobe State Governor Mai Mala Boni has inaugurated a multi-million naira legal research and documentation center at the High Court complex. Yunusa Suleiman reports that stocked with the state-of-the-art facilities, the center was created to strengthen the belief of the common man that the court still remains his last hope.
Inaugurating the Legal Research and Documentation Center situated at the Yobe State High Court complex in Damaturu, Governor Mai Mala Boni said, as the world takes advantage of the gains provided by information and communication technology, government will continue to support the judiciary to adopt the modern method of research and documentation to move away from the traditional time-consuming methods.
As the saying goes, justice delayed is justice denied. Yobe State government under my watch is always available and willing to support quick dispensation of justice in our courts. Similarly, as partners in service to the people, it is imperative to continuously build on the existing harmonious relationship between the executive, the legislature, and the judicial.
Yobe State Chief Judge Justice Gumna Kashim Kegama noted with appreciation the state government, European Union, and United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, who contributed towards the realization of the center, which was started in 2015, designed to enhance the labor-intensive training, self-study, and research capacities of judicial officers.
Coordination and cooperation among justice sector institutions with an enhanced legal and political framework, increased access to justice and respect for human rights and the rule of law.
Yobe State has now joined the League of States with such facilities to strengthen the legal sector in the task of protecting the rights of people in Damaturu. Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with foremost scholar, teacher, legal luminary, author, and anti-corruption crusader, Professor Sejuwa Sage, as he turns 80 in December 2020. The president rejoices with the Sage family, the academia, legal profession, and all friends and associates of the chairman, Presidential Advisory Committee on Corruption, saying his integrity and commitment to transparency mark him out as a Nigerian of sterling quality and character. You have always stood by this administration, particularly in our avowed commitment to fight corruption, and this you did without fear or favor. President Buhari says, similarly, President Buhari has congratulated the former Taraba State Acting Governor, Alhaji Garba Omar, on his 73rd birthday anniversary, describing him as an astute politician and businessman whose life is worthy of celebration. The president said, Garba Omar is a gentleman and a decent politician who doesn't believe in the notorious do-or-die politics. I am proud of Garba Omar because he puts dignity and principles before blind ambition for power. We need such gentlemen like him in our national politics, President Buhari added. Now you are watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. Our focus tonight is on the second wave of COVID-19 in Nigeria. What are the efforts being put in place by the federal government and of course state governments to see how we can stem the tide? Stay with us.
Are you ready for this?
Let me hear you, AJ.
Ready for this?
Give me some bass.
That good for you?
Nice, AJ. Just one. Bring it out. Just one. Double it. Just one. Just one. Just one.
I was born hungry for success. It's the Nigerian way. Glow gets it. Champions stay hungry. Oh yeah. Glow gets it big time. One more for sure. Champions go the distance and then go further. Glow, the heart of a champion.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources and alternate chairman of the board of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, His Excellency Chief Tibipri Silva, and the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Milik Kyari, welcome His Excellency MUHAMMADU BUHARI, GCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, to the virtual commissioning of the over 200 million standard cubic feet per day Integrated Gas Handling Facility, IGHF, and the Liquefied Petroleum Gas, LPG, storage and dispensing plant wholly owned and constructed by the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, NPDC, an upstream subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, in Olobo, Edo State. Date Tuesday, 22nd December 2020. Time 11 a.m. With the COVID-19 social distancing protocols, attendance is strictly by invitation. Members of the public can follow the event live on the NTA, AIT, Channels Television, and all NNPC social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Teams, and Facebook. NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways. Signed, NNPC Management.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support, yes, by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youth, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Do you know that 35% of every girl child and women are raped on daily basis? Some are killed in the process, some take their lives in shame, others remain emotionally dead for life. It is sad. This culture is not ours, definitely not African. How did we allow bad culture to infiltrate and take over? Even if you lack fear for the law, what of fear of God? And you, why do you cover up rape acts when it happens? Remember, a problem shared is a problem half solved. Never cover any rape act because a rapist is a murderer. It could be you or your loved ones next. Women must be treated like the prize gem they are. Say no to rape.
Love and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
For all to be well, we appeal
that we should refrain from volatile, provocative, inciting messages and language.
Let's build and not destroy.
You're welcome back. You are watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. Now, joining me in the studio for our discussion segment is, of course, the Minister of Health, Dr. Sergei Ihanire. As a matter of fact, we are taking a closer look at the second wave of coronavirus in Nigeria. You're welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
All right. So before we engage you, let's take some reports from different parts of the country. Now, COVID-19 pandemic is in different stages across the globe, as many countries are already experiencing the fourth wave, while some are managing the second and third wave. In Nigeria, the second wave is presently the major concern. In this report, Hingino John Adams tells us the initiative being taken by government and other stakeholders to ward off the wave.
The outbreak of coronavirus did not catch the Nigerian government unawares, as strong synergy was accelerated with spontaneous strategies, which resulted in drop in cases between August and September. This also led to the closure of emergency isolation centers created to meet the needs of COVID-19 patients. But just when many Nigerians thought the country was out of the woods, a second wave set in, threatening to compromise initial achievements.
For us to be able to really handle the second wave, we need to go back and look at what we have on ground.
This second wave is being attributed to the fact that many Nigerians have thrown caution to the wind and ignored the preventive measures, thinking that the virus has been defeated. This set of people have quickly forgotten that the unwanted visitor that arrived the country February 27 is still very much around, infecting and killing many.
In Australia, when they all started wearing face masks, everything, the wave of this COVID-19 dropped.
Now that the country is battling a second wave, government has ordered the reopening of isolation centers. So far, Lagos still remains the epicenter in Nigeria, and the state government has directed the reactivation of initial preventive measures, urging the people to strictly adhere with the hope of containing the virus.
The best we could do is to design and develop another test kit that will work with the conventional PCR that all laboratories already have.
Government is doing very well because we have a COVID-19 intervention fund from government, but of course, like Oliver we always ask for more. We need to do more research into this virus.
So far, lessons have been learned from the first experience, with the hope that it will help in handling the second wave. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
In Kaduna, the state government is striving hard to contain the spread of the second wave of COVID-19. MUHAMMADU Ajinge reports that schools have been shut down, while citizens have been asked to adhere to safety protocols or force the authorities to consider the last option of a second lockdown.
The second wave of COVID-19 infection rate is on the rise in Kaduna State, even though frantic efforts are being made to contain it, reminiscent of what the authorities did during the first experience between April and June.
While infections cut across all age groups, this new wave especially affects those aged between 10 to 35 years, and they make up 55% of the infections.
The state government had earlier placed the citizens on maximum alert, urging them to adhere to safety tips.
By August, September, we are down to 1%, 2%, 3% infection rate from the samples we test. Now we are hovering between 20 and 35%. And no person will be allowed to enter any government office, any hospital, any school, any public facility without mask.
This call by the governor alerted a good number of people who supported the fight to save more lives through providing alcohol-based sanitizers, hand-washing points in markets, public places, including temperature checks. Religious leaders in their respective places of worship are calling the attention of their followers to observe the prevention protocols.
When COVID-19 came up, we saw it, and since we are religious leaders, we know what the Bible says about it. We use the same thing in telling our members.
Every sensible person must believe COVID-19 is real. We have experienced the first wave before now. Had there been this type of experience we have it before last year, we would have ended up locked down as it was then.
The state government says it will do everything within its powers to protect the citizens. In Kaduna, I am MUHAMMADU Marajingi, NTA News.
Correspondent Delight Gideon reports that the Committee on COVID-19 Pandemic is working to talk by intensifying campaign and upgrading facilities to mitigate any surge of the pandemic.
The chairman COVID-19 committee in Abia State, Dr. Chris Ezem, says that efforts are geared towards containing the COVID-19 pandemic, pointing out that isolation centers in the state have been upgraded with facilities to combat the dreaded disease.
Our community testing is ongoing, and everybody urged the Abians that we are free to walk into any of our molecular labs. The test is free.
Federal Medical Center Umuahia has acquired sophisticated facilities with medical personnel protective equipment and have also retrained frontline medical personnel to contain the threat of new surge of the coronavirus pandemic.
The federal government provided funds for all the tertiary hospitals to procure personal protective equipment for the health workers, and that was also done.
Meanwhile, stakeholders are bemoaning the impact of COVID-19 on the livelihood of the people, and also state measures that have been taken to tackle the menace.
Things are very expensive. The business is going down. Civil servants cannot purchase anything in the market because of their purchasing power is low now.
The measures we did last time, we are going to replicate.
Abians are enjoined to observe all the COVID-19 protocols.
Now back to the studio, and we have the Minister of Health, Dr. Osegi Henry, here with us. Once again, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You've just listened to about 3 reports that we've just put out on the air. And what's your view about this second wave? How is the ministry taking this second wave of coronavirus in Nigeria?
Well, the second wave, the so-called second wave, is something we have been warning about for some time. If you recall the briefings we had at the PTF, it was frequently mentioned that we should not rest on our oars, that we should not be complacent. So it is the complacency that we have had that has brought over the new wave of COVID-19 infection that's coming up now. Government is doing everything to tackle it, to handle it. The connection with the wave is first with the number of factors. First, the reopening of schools, the reopening of airports and travel, and now the reopening of the border, and the general relaxation of the population with the advisories that have been given before. There are more parties going on, the clubs are open, and everything that we are not supposed to be doing, we are doing. So many factors are responsible for this wave, and we need to reverse all of these and come back to a safer area.
Honorable Minister, to be honest with you, even at the point, where the protocol for COVID-19 was being heightened all over the country, when everybody seems to be obeying the protocol, in some areas, in many states, you still find out that people are still into organizing parties, weddings, wine carrying, and what have you. Right, now you talked about complacency along the line. Now, who is to blame for this? Because many are beginning to think that perhaps there's also a kind of lack of continuity on the part of the task force or perhaps the government at the subnational level to keep enforcing this protocol before this second advent of coronavirus in Nigeria?
Well, yes, you can see that the relaxation is not only individual but also institutional. Institutions also relaxed and thought we were out of the woods, and I kept reminding that we are not out of the woods. In fact, some people try to congratulate us for coming out of the woods, for defeating coronavirus, and we made it clear that we have not. The situation is very fluid, and it is very much around us. It will probably be around us for some time. The Ministry of Health has developed a 3-year COVID-19 response action plan, because we are looking at the fact that it may be that long, as has been advised by the Director General of the World Health Organization. So we need to go back to the drawing board and reappraise our approach to handling COVID-19, be more restrictive, especially as the festive period is coming. We need to make sacrifices, and the sacrifices mean that we should abstain from all those things we're used to doing at this period, partying and having a lot of ceremonies, because the very nature of the spread of this disease will be encouraged by that kind of behavior.
Now, in the past 2 weeks, Honorable Minister, we've had this skyrocketing of the number of persons being affected in different states. What might be the cause? Because perhaps it's because of the complacency or relaxation, by not just the institutions, but many Nigerians that made it easy for, in the past 2 weeks, to have thousands of persons who have been infected. Why the rapidity in the spread?
Yes, I told you it's a convergence of a number of factors. Remember that in all countries where they reopened schools, there was always a spike. So that one is there. Then in all countries where they reopened airports, there was always a spike also. And then also the relaxation that you mentioned just now, which is that people thought that we were out of the woods and we can go back to everything we're doing. Restaurants reopened, nightclubs reopened, and even where they were, in fact, where there was a curfew on movements, people were traveling and moving all over the place. And the very nature of this infection, as I said, lends itself to spread by that kind of social interaction.
Okay, now the way things are you foreseeing a situation, where we'll go back to lockdown, or where we perhaps bring back restrictions like a travel ban and what have you? And bear in mind also that the fact that we are in a festive period, many Nigerians are returning from different parts of the world, from Europe, the Americas, and the Asian countries. How has government taken such travels into consideration? Because, of course, nobody can tell, who may have this COVID-19, perhaps coming from different parts of the world, coming down to Nigeria.
You're correct. You're very correct with that. That's why we are quite nervous about the large number of volume of passengers coming in from high-burden countries. There are many high-burden countries where Nigerians will be coming home. And a while ago, I spoke of sacrifice, that we have to make a sacrifice of abstaining from what we used to do before around this period, all the marrying, and so we have to do differently. I know that there are many places now where they celebrate birthdays and feasts virtually on the internet, and we have to extend that to the festivities, the festive period that is coming up, and restrict our gathering and sports and a lot of weddings and things, or at least structure them very, very differently. If we do not make these sacrifices, we shall have some trouble, which will be difficult to contain.
Now, how do we manage those who are coming to Nigeria? Is there any kind of protocol, by the task force for those who are coming to the country for this festive period?
Yes, there is a protocol. There is a testing before you leave the country where you are coming from. And then when you arrive here, you are also tested. You have a travel history that is taken to know where you have been to. And then we also measure a temperature to be sure that you are fine, you don't have any symptoms. And after 7 days, you are supposed to do a test to confirm that you really didn't have COVID. But we are beginning to see a laxity in that area also. And so we are going to be reviewing that protocol to adapt it to the situation we find on ground, to adapt it to the behavior of people. Because if you start off with a certain protocol and you find that the behavior of people does not actually match it, then you have to carry out an adjustment. And that is coming up.
One good point you just made now is the fact that we're beginning to see laxity in that area. You know, what we're praying for is that we're not praying for Nigeria to begin to have the kind of situation we have in the US or elsewhere in Europe, you know, where we have, you know, as many as 3,000 deaths in a day. That's exactly what I believe, you know, the task force is fighting against, to ensure that we don't get to that level, you know, as far as this pandemic is concerned. Now, let's take a short break, you know, but we won't come back. We'll continue with the conversation. This is Weekend File. We'll take a short break now. I'll be back shortly.
The Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, ASCON, announces the commencement of sale of forms for the 2021 Public Service Examination. Date, Saturday 28th November and Saturday 19th December 2020. Target audience, personnel of the following organizations: federal ministries and parastatals, state parastatals, state civil service commissions, local government service commissions, other interested public institutions. Interested candidates can purchase the PSC forms at ASCON Liaison Office, Abuja, ASCON Zonal Office, Port Harcourt, and the main complex, Topo Badagry. All registered forms for the 2021 Public Service Examination must be submitted to the place of purchase not later than Friday 18th December 2020. For further information, please contact the Director of Administration and Human Resource, ASCON Topo Badagry, on 003-480-3358 or info@ascon.gov.ng. You can also visit ASCON website at www.ascon.gov.ng. Announcer AC Nwankwo for Director General, ASCON.
Wednesday, 5:28 p.m. Getting ready to lay down some tones, but something ain't right. There's some discomfort in my throat. No worries though, TomTom Fresh Lime is here to save the day. Discomfort gone, time to bring the heat. Thanks TomTom Fresh Lime for giving me soothing relief. TomTom Fresh Lime, cool with a zing.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
Welcome back. Now, in Calabar, health experts want strict adherence to earlier precautionary measures as key to averting the effects of the pandemic. Dosina Etim examines emerging cases, response, and challenges in Cross River State.
The first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, observers posit, came with a devastating effect on global and national economies, bringing with it attendant hardships. The pandemic is back in its second wave around the world, and health experts warn that this time it is even more deadly. Cross River State may have been out of the situation, but for 3 new cases recorded.
Cross River State have started recording a few cases.
Tackling a second wave of the disease in Cross River State may be more challenging now, as one of its isolation centers and its reference laboratory were vandalized during the NSAS protest, which stakeholders say requires urgent attention.
Cross River State will be needing a lot of support at this point to see that we can get in a huge isolation center and, of course, the reference lab, just in case we have another second wave.
The problem we've had in Cross River right from the start has been testing.
You know, testing has been one thing that we in medical women, the whole medical community have been battling.
The State Garment Factory has resumed production of personal protective equipment aimed at mitigating effects of the pandemic. To fight the spread of the pandemic, health watchers want Nigerians to take full responsibility for their lives and observe the COVID-19 protocol this season and always. In Calabar, Justina Etam, NTA News.
All right, now back to the studio. We're still with the Health Minister, Dr. Henry here with us. So I raised that issue a short while ago, you know, on the issue of a lockdown, the possibility of another lockdown, considering the fact that the rate with which you know, the infection, you know, is being recorded in the country is quite worrisome. What's your view about that?
Lockdown, a blanket lockdown is not in the books because it has devastating effect on the economy. It has socio-economic impacts that are not desirable. We have up to 80% of people in the country who are in the informal sector who have to go about their livelihood somehow or the other. So the idea is to protect lives and livelihoods. But you can also have what you call surgical lockdown or precision lockdown of certain areas. Just yesterday, Italy announced such precision lockdown of certain areas. The UK and other countries tried that one too in some areas, just to look at the areas which are particularly at risk of high cases and high fatalities. So, but even the precision lockdown here we look at as the need arises. But our first approach is the approach that the COVID problem is not just a government problem. It is not a Ministry of Health problem. It is a national problem. It is everybody's problem, and everybody is required to participate and do their bit in staving the infection by obeying just very simple rules like wearing your mask and washing your hands and avoiding crowding. That's all. It's very simple.
Well, the news started that some treatment centers, you know, were actually have not been, you know, effective for a while now because, of course, we have been shut down, believing that we have, like as you said, that we have defeated COVID-19. Why was it so? In a situation where we are still having daily record of COVID-19, well, of course it was at a lower level, yes, but then on daily basis we are still having records of COVID-19. But how come many centers, you know, had to shut down?
Well, because we had a high capacity of beds in preparation during the so-called first wave, but with the reduction or the flattening of the curve, as I say, the number of cases reduced. So we had excess capacity, and what we did was, like you do, you demobilize and you shut down or mothball your facilities. But the order has gone out now for them to be prepared to open again. It's not that they were dismantled. They were one or two were dismantled, which were not really functional, but to reopen and prepare to reopen and retrain and put all workers on alert to be able to accommodate the cases as they come up.
I'm not sure you've been in a position of going to markets, you know, across the country. Even in Abuja here, the capital city of Nigeria, where we have a number of markets. Would I have been able to visit the markets and see the fact that people are not obeying the protocol? For instance, you're wearing your mask here in the studio, and in the markets, no, people don't wear masks. Now, how possible is it going to be to do an enforcement of this? Because one, yes, this is a democratic, setting, right? So you don't need to, use force, so to speak. But how do we get Nigerians to adhere to these non-pharmaceutical protocols, such as wearing masks on regular basis in the marketplaces, in churches, and places of gathering? Because as I can tell you today being Saturday, I think I'm sure about 5 different wedding ceremonies that happened in different parts of this Abuja, and of course, if you attend any of them, you could discover that not many are putting on masks. And this mask wearing is one major way of avoiding infection of COVID-19.
Yeah, correct. Yes, the mask is one major way of evading COVID-19 infection. It's an easy way of protecting yourself and protecting someone else. And most countries who have worn masks, like the Czech Republic made masks at one time, recommended it for all citizens, and they had very low rates because the transmission is very, very limited if everybody is wearing a mask, or as many people as possible. But here, somehow or the other, people have not taken it seriously. What we have done is to appeal to the sense of civic responsibility, that is your duty and your contribution to this. We have not gone to the point of enforcement, but under certain circumstances, those will be considered enforcement or some kind of measures that will sort of accelerate the need, the understanding of people to wear masks. We have tried persuasion, tried community engagement and risk communication, and tried everything. And we have tried to change even the language that we use in order to probably make it more understandable to people the benefit of these measures and in saving lives. Perhaps we need to re-engineer the communication, and then probably use a lot of other methods, like working with traditional rulers more, with community leaders more, and with youth organizations more, and find ways of at least, if not enforcing, but at least propagating the use of masks.
Now, with the way and manner the thing is increasing, what do you envisage in the next couple of months?
Well, that's a very difficult question. We are very worried. We are worried especially because of the season, the holiday season we are in, with the Christmas, the New Year coming, the tendency to celebrate, to thank God, and to give thanks and so on. So again, that's why I use the word, and I thank you for inviting me here today. I use the word sacrifice, that we have to let go of all of this for this 1 year, because the country is in danger.
We have this crossover church activities across the nation for the New Year.
Exactly. And the instructions, the advisory that have been given out long ago is that the closer you are to a suspected person who you might not know has it, the higher your risk of contracting COVID.
All right.
And if that person is well and healthy, you might not be so lucky.
Exactly. All right. So on this note, I'd like to thank you for your time, and of course sharing your thoughts with us with respect to the second wave of COVID-19 in Nigeria. Thank you indeed for coming.
Thank you very much for inviting
speaking
me.
with the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, on the issue of a second wave of COVID-19 in Nigeria. For now, let's take a weather report before we conclude this edition of Weekend File.
Thank you.
Glad you could join us for Sunday's forecast. There is no significant change over the north, as dust haze is still the prevailing weather. However, we expect horizontal visibilities to range between 3 to 5 kilometers, while sunny skies with a hazy atmosphere is anticipated over the north central throughout the day. Partly cloudy skies with intervals of sunshine is anticipated over the southern parts of the country, but there are chances of morning thunderstorms over parts of Akwa Ibom and Cross River. Progressing into the day, parts of Ogun, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom are expected to experience thunderstorms. That's our bit from here. Thank you for watching.
And that's our program for today. We thank you for watching. We'll see you again next week.
is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U-Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
Nigeria, a nation of great people. Different tribes and languages, yet we are united in our diversity. All over the world, Nigerians are known to be very hardworking and resilient.